Hello and welcome to the science class. My name is Teacher John. I'm going to take you through Science Primary 6, Term 3. The topic is accidents and first aid. Today we are going to look at drowning and near drowning. Drowning and near drowning. What is drowning? Drowning is a condition where one's lungs are filled with water and one fails to breathe and dies. So with drowning, somebody dies. Drowning is a condition where one's lungs are filled with water, one fails to breathe and dies. So when you fall in water, water enters the lungs through the mouth, through the nose, then that water finds itself in the lungs. And because there is water in the lungs, you fail to breathe. And what will happen next is death. So that's drowning. It's a condition where one's lungs are filled with water and one fails to breathe and then that person dies. Then what is near drowning? Near drowning is a condition when one's lungs are filled with water and one fails to breathe but is not yet dead. So with near drowning, you don't die, but drowning, one dies. That's the difference. So near drowning is a condition where one's lungs are filled with water, one fails to breathe, and that person does not die. If given first aid, you can save his life. And this person who has near drowned has only 4 minutes to live. So that means that we are supposed to give first aid quickly. And that's why one of the qualities of a good first aider is that a good first aider should be quick to save life. So someone who has near drowned has only 4 minutes to live. So we are supposed to give that person first aid in order to save his life or her life. So you need to differentiate between drowning and near drowning. With drowning, one dies. With near drowning, one does not die, is still alive. If given first aid, his life or her life can be saved. Let's look at common places where drowning and near drowning can occur. Drowning can occur in a bathtub. You know bathtubs, you have them at home for bathing, lakes, rivers, streams, swimming pools, ponds, oceans, and seas. People can drown there. We can even drown in septic tanks. What is the first aid for near drowning? Now, you cannot give first aid for drowning because drowning, first aid cannot be given to a dead body. But we can give first aid to somebody who has near drowned. What do we do first? One is yell for help or shout for help. Why are we shouting? To help this person who has fallen in water, so that people around can come and give first aid and save the life. So yell or shout for help. Number 2, remove the victim from water. Remove the victim from water if you can. If you cannot, you can get a jerrycan, close that jerrycan, throw it in water, let the victim hold on that jerrycan because the jerrycan will help the victim float on water. And when people come, they will be able to remove this victim from water. So, remove the victim from water. Number 3, expel water from the lungs. Expel water from the lungs. How do you expel water from the lungs? Remember, the lungs are found in the chest cavity. So you press the chest with your hands. So you press the chest, you make sure that this victim is lying on his or her back and is facing upwards. Get your hands and start pressing the chest. When you press the chest, you will exert pressure on the lungs, and water which is inside the lungs will be forced out. So once that water is expelled from or removed from the lungs, give the victim a kiss of life. How do you give the victim a kiss of life? you hold the nose tightly, then open the mouth of the victim and blow air to go to the lungs through the mouth of the victim. You close the nose tightly, open the mouth of the victim and blow air. That air will go straight to the lungs. That's what you call a kiss of life. Now, this kiss of life will help to balloon up the lungs, will help to restart breathing. It will help to open the airways. Remember, airways, we have the nose, lungs, the windpipe. When you blow air in the lungs, the airways, the lungs will open up and somebody will start breathing. So it's very important to give a kiss of life. So yell for help, remove the victim from water, expel water from the lungs, and give the victim a kiss of life. Sometimes it is called mouth-to-mouth breathing. How is it important? It helps to restart breathing. It also helps to open the airways. Let's look at how to control drowning and near drowning. Learn swimming skills. It's very important you as a child of P6 to learn how to swim. This one will help you save your life in case you get an accident in water. You can be in a boat cruise, and while you're on a boat cruise, the boat may capsize. How do you save yourself? By swimming. What happens to you? If you get an accident on water, the boat capsizes and you don't know how to swim, you will die. So it's very important for you to learn swimming skills. Use life jackets when sailing on water. So whenever you're on a boat cruise or traveling on water, please have a life jacket. This life jacket will help you float on water in case you fall in water. Number 3, fencing swimming pools. Fencing swimming pools. All swimming pools need to be fenced so that people don't fall in swimming pools accidentally. Then, covering all septic tanks. Do you know that you can fall in a septic tank and you drown there? True. So all septic tanks should have covers. Those who don't know septic tanks, these are underground tanks whereby when we use our toilets, we flush them and feces, water and urine go in the septic tanks. So if what happens if you fell in a septic tank, you will drown, you will near drown. So all septic tanks must have covers to prevent people from falling inside. Supervise children when they are swimming. All children should be supervised when they are swimming. Never let children to move and go for swimming alone. And that's the reason why all swimming pools should have fences, should be fenced, so that in case children run away from you, they cannot go to swim on a swimming pool because there is a fence to keep them away. So, all children must be supervised when they are swimming to avoid accidents. Then number 6, employ lifeguards at swimming pools. Employ lifeguards at swimming pools. Who are lifeguards? These are coaches that are found at swimming pools. They teach people how to swim. So in case there is an accident, somebody has fallen the deep end of a swimming pool, these lifeguards will dive in the water very fast and they save this person. So if you have a swimming pool at home, there must be a lifeguard. Whenever you go for swimming out there, please always make sure lifeguards are there. And you have always seen these guys there. They are always ready. In case of an accident, they dive in water and they save your life. So it's very important. Never go for swimming. Never go for swimming if there's no lifeguard at that swimming pool. Just in case you get an accident, you need somebody to rescue your life. Next, we look at why is it important to give a kiss of life to somebody who has near drowned. A kiss of life helps to open airways. I've told you airways is the air passage. That passage to the lungs. It's called airways, like the windpipe. So when you give a kiss of life, it helps open airways. Then to restart breathing, a kiss of life helps to restart breathing. Next, look at fainting. What is fainting? What is fainting? Fainting is the brief loss of consciousness. Fainting is the brief loss of consciousness. When we say somebody is conscious, it means that you are able to understand what is happening around you. Like right now, I'm conscious. Right now, you are conscious. You can understand what I'm telling you. You can hear what I'm telling you. You are conscious. So the moment you lose consciousness, the moment you lose that brief understanding, we shall say you have fainted. So fainting is the brief loss of consciousness or the brief loss of understanding. Just briefly. Doesn't last long. Just a short time. You don't understand what's happening. You fall down and you don't know what's going on. We shall say you are unconscious. Or we shall say you have lost your consciousness. So for one to be conscious, it means that person is able to understand what's happening. Like right now, I'm conscious. I'm teaching. You are conscious. You are listening to me. You understand what I'm saying. But the moment you lose consciousness, you have lost your understanding. And we shall say you have fainted. Now the question is, what is fainting? You said fainting is the brief loss of consciousness. Then, what is the main cause of fainting? There is only one cause of fainting, and that is shortage of oxygen supply to the brain. Shortage of oxygen supply towards the brain. Shortage of oxygen supply towards the brain. Shortage of oxygen supply towards the brain. So if the brain lacks enough oxygen, you will faint, and that's the main cause of fainting. We have conditions that may lead to fainting. One is excitement. There are people who can be excited because of so many things. You can faint. So always manage your excitement. For example, somebody may surprise you with a very nice gift. Or you may get aggregate 4 in PLE. Results are released and you are told you have aggregate 4. Because of that too much excitement, you are happy. You faint. So excitement can be one of the conditions that may lead to fainting. It's not a cause, but it's a condition that may lead to fainting. Get the difference between the cause of fainting and conditions that lead to fainting. When there's too much excitement, that one makes you to have shortage of oxygen supply towards the brain. So you faint. Another one is anxiety. You're anxious about something. You faint. Another one is fright. When you're frightened, for example, you may be there at home and you see an anaconda, a lion. You become frightened and you faint. You even susu on yourself. Doing very heavy physical exercises. Some people do physical exercises that are too much, that are strenuous. They faint. Doing very heavy physical exercises or strenuous exercises. Then prolonged hunger. Staying hungry for too long can make you faint. So watch out. It's time for lunch, eat food. Time for breakfast, take it. Time for supper, have your dinner. Don't miss meals. Can lead to fainting, prolonged hunger. People who stay in areas where there is hunger, People don't have what to eat, they faint. Standing under sunshine for too long. There are some of you who like staying under sunshine for too long. You'll faint. Avoid that. Shocking news. There's news which is shocking. Like announcement of death. God forbid. They can tell you so and so is dead. If that person was so close to you, also important to you, that news is shocking. You can die. You can faint. Then illness. There are some illnesses that can make one faint. That's why when you become sick, go to the hospital for treatment. Because if you are ill and you're not treated, you'll faint and you may end up dying. So take note. So, we look at first aid for fainting. First aid for fainting. In case somebody faints, what happens? 1, put the victim in an open place. 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 Why? To get fresh air. Put the victim in an open place. Why? To get fresh air. Put the victim in an open place. The answer is to get fresh air. Why should the victim be put in an open place? To get fresh air. Remember, we said one of the cause of fainting is shortage of oxygen supply towards the brain. Now, if you lack oxygen supply to the brain, you faint. And in case there are people crowded, if you're in a crowded place, people are competing for oxygen. So you're supposed to be put in a place which is open so that you can get enough oxygen. That's one. Then number 2 is loosen all the tight clothes. Loosen all the tight clothing, especially around the neck and the chest. Loosen. Loosen all the tight clothing. All the tight clothing. Loosen all the tight clothing, especially around the neck, even around the waist, like a belt, you undo. Buttons, you undo the buttons. Then number 3, avoid crowding around the victim. Avoid crowding around the victim. There are people who want to see how somebody has fainted. That's dangerous. Move away from somebody who has fainted so that this person can get fresh air. Avoid crowding around the victim. Why? For the victim to get fresh air. For the victim to get fresh air. For the victim to get fresh air. Then lastly, raise the legs of the victim higher than the head. Raise the legs. Raise the legs of the victim higher than the head. Higher than the head. Raise the legs of the victim higher than the head. Raise the legs of the victim higher than the head. Why? Why should the legs of the victim be raised higher than the head? To allow oxygenated blood flow towards the brain. To allow oxygenated blood flow towards the head. To allow oxygenated blood flow towards the head. That's why it's very important for you to raise the legs of the victim higher than the head. That is the first aid for fainting. Then we have what you call ABC. Write ABC as used in first aid. Question. Write ABC as used. Write ABC in full. Write ABC in full as used in first aid. As used in first aid. Write ABC in full as used in first aid. We have A. The first A is airway. Then B, airway, breathing circulation. Airway, breathing, then circulation. So I shall say airway, breathing, circulation. That is how we write ABC in full form as used in first aid. Next, look at foreign bodies. Foreign bodies. Foreign bodies. Foreign bodies. One, what is a foreign body? A foreign body is an external matter that enters the body through natural openings. A foreign body is any external matter. Any external matter that enters the body through natural openings. A foreign body is any external matter that enters the body through natural openings. Let's look at natural openings on the body. Natural openings on the body where these foreign bodies can pass. natural openings on the body. One, we have eyes, we have the nose, we have ears, we have mouth, stroke throat, we have anus, then we have vagina. These are natural body openings: eyes, nose, ears, mouth or throat, anus, then vagina. Those are natural body openings where foreign bodies can pass. Like for example, there are some objects which may enter your body through the eyes, like dust. Others can enter through the nose, like small insects, and so on. So you look at examples of foreign bodies. 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 One, we have insects, small insects. Number two, we have dust. Number three, we have seeds. Number four, we have beads. Number five, we have food particles. Food particles. Even food is a foreign body. Food particles. We have fish bones. Fish bones. Fish bones can get stuck in the throat when you are eating fish. Then we have iron filings. Iron filings, or small pieces of metals. Small pieces of metals. The examples of foreign bodies. Then we have small stones. Small stones. Those are examples of foreign bodies. So let's begin by looking at a foreign body in the throat. Foreign bodies 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 in the throat. And foreign bodies in the throat, we have food particles. Food can get stuck. We have coins. Then we also have seeds. These are examples of foreign bodies in the throat. And what is the effect of foreign bodies in the throat? What is the effect of having foreign bodies in the throat. What is the effect of having foreign bodies in the throat? It can cause choking. What is the effect of having foreign body in the throat? So foreign body in the throat can cause choking. In the throat. What is the effect of having foreign bodies in the throat? The answer is they can cause choking. They can cause choking. They can cause choking. They can cause choking. So what's choking? What is choking? You may be wondering, but what is choking? What is choking? Now, choking is a blockage. And please, the word choking is written like this. Here, don't put letter C here, as if you're writing the word choke. Choking is written like this. Take note of that. And choking is the blockage of air to the lungs. Choking, the blockage of air passage. Blockage of air passage to the lungs. Blockage of air passage to the lungs. That's what we call choking. And choking can cause death. And choking can cause failure to breathe, which can lead to death. Choking can make one fail to breathe. Can make one fail to breathe, which may lead to death. Which may lead to death. So when you are eating food, be mindful. Don't put big lumps of food in your mouth. You will end up choking and it can cause death. So what causes choking? 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 Now, choking can be caused by the following. One, swallowing big chunks of food. Swallowing big chunks of food. Swallowing big chunks. Swallowing big chunks of food. You get big chunks of food, put it in your mouth without chewing, and you swallow. That food will get stuck in the throat, and you fail to breathe, and you'll have choked. You can end up dying, my friend. Talking with food in the mouth. Talking with food in the mouth. Talking with food in the mouth. Talking with food in the mouth can cause choking. It is very bad manners for you to eat while food is in your mouth. That food will fall in the throat and you choke. Eating hurriedly. Eating hurriedly. Eating hurriedly. Eating hurriedly. It is bad manners for you to eat hurriedly, as if somebody is chasing you. You will end up choking. Eating hurriedly. Eating hurriedly. Don't eat as if you are being chased. Be calm when you are eating. Don't eat as if there is no tomorrow. You end up choking and you die. Then lastly, look at first aid for choking. First aid for choking. In case of choking, what do? Do you just leave your friend to die? Do you just look on as you die? No. When you choke, there is something you can do to save yourself from death, because we still need you. First aid for choking. 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 Now, 1, give the victim sharp blows at the back. So you make the victim bend and you give sharp blows at the back. Not fist blows like this. If you make a fist, you'll break somebody's backbone, which is dangerous. So use this, sharp blows. You slap them on his or her back, and that one will create pressure, and the food that's in the throat will come out. Give the victim sharp blows at the back. Give the victim sharp blows. Give the victim sharp blows at the back. At the back. Give the victim sharp blows at the back. Then you also need to know that in case you are choked, you can also drink water. Now when you drink water, it pushes food to the stomach. Drink water to push food to the stomach. Drink water to push food. To push food to the stomach. In case it is food. Because sometimes you may eat food and the food gets stuck. What you do, get water and drink, that water will push food and it goes to the stomach. So that is first aid for choking. It is as simple as that. Then, how can we prevent choking? How to prevent choking? How to prevent choking? Because we don't want you to be choked. So we want to prevent. How to prevent choking so that it does not take place. 1, chewing food properly before swallowing. Chewing food properly properly before swallowing. Chewing food properly before swallowing. Then number 2, avoid eating hurriedly. Avoid eating hurriedly. Avoid eating hurriedly. Avoid eating hurriedly. Then avoid eating while talking. Or avoid talking when food is in the mouth. Avoid talking when food is in the mouth. Avoid talking while eating. Bad, those are bad eating habits. Avoid talking while eating. It is bad to eat when food is in your mouth. You may end up choking. Otherwise, so that one marks the end of our lesson. May the Almighty God bless you abundantly.